Hey guys, and welcome to this video on perception. This is the first video and it's going to run through some of the key terms and basics that we need to know for the GCSE exam. We're going to run through the difference between sensation and perception and the two sets of depth cues that you need to know. So the first thing that you need to know are the definitions of these two words, sensation and perception. Quite straightforward, but a pretty common exam question, asking you what one of them mean or asking you for the difference between these two words. So simply put, sensation is all of the information that you receive through your senses. Any information from the external world that comes into your brain, that is a sensation. Now, making sense and processing that information is then when it turns into a perception. So perception is then the process of making sense or interpreting these sensations to give them some meaning and to make it make sense. So sensation, all the information that comes in through our senses, and perception is the process when the brain processes, interprets and makes sense of these sensations. Easiest way to sort of give an example of that is to imagine you've got this nice big lemon here that you're going to, you close your eyes, you're holding a lemon and somebody said to you, what do you feel like? What do you sense? What can you smell? What can you feel? And when you feel it, it'll feel quite rubbery and smooth. When you smell it, it'll smell quite citrusy. And all of these sensations that you're getting, all of these feelings and thoughts, these are sensations. Then when you put them all together and you open your eyes, you will then process all of those and you will understand and you will perceive that it was a lemon. So that's the difference between sensation and perception. And the next thing in this video is to run through the depth cues you need to know for your exam. There are two main types of depth cues. We have the monocular depth cues, mono meaning one. And this is the way of detecting depth or distance, which works with just one eye. And then you have the binocular depth cues, bino meaning two, and these refer to ways of detecting depth or distance that require two eyes. So firstly, we're going to run through the four monocular depth cues. It's a picture here of the Eiffel Tower, quite a common style exam question where you might need to apply some monocular depth cues to the picture. Feel free to use this at any point just to check your monocular depth cues. The four depth cues you need to know here are height in plane, relative size, occlusion and linear perspective. So let's run through those quickly. So firstly, height in plane. Basically, height in plane refers to the positioning or the height, as you say, height of the base of the object in your visual field. And those objects which the base of the object is higher up in the picture, they have a higher height in plane, therefore they are considered further away. So if you look at the two trees, the one on the left is lower down, so we would say that that is closer to us. And the one on the right is higher up the page, that one is further away. Second depth cue is relative size. Now this is literally to do with how big the item is, how big the object is. So if you've got two trees here and one of them is bigger, like the one on the left, we would say that is closer. The one on the right is smaller, so we would say that is further away. Now, a common error here is to talk about height in plane, or vice versa, with height in plane is to talk about relative size. Students mix these two up a lot, so make sure you are clear on the difference between these two. Your third one is occlusion. This is a nice and easy one. This is basically when one object covers up another one. So we know that the one object that is doing the blocking must be closer because we can't see, for example, we can't see the bottom of the tree here. So the rabbit must be closer. Finally, we have linear perspective. So this is the idea when you have parallel lines that would normally run straight opposite each other, But in terms of an image, these two parallel lines normally will sort of converge towards each other, and they will look to sort of reach a vanishing point on the horizon, and they will slowly disappear. So that's your 4 monocular depth cues. Then you've got your 2 binocular depth cues. You've got retinal disparity to start with. So I always say that this one, it is what it says it is, basically. Retinal means eye, and disparity means difference. So we're talking about the difference in the eyes here. And that's because as sort of mammals with 2 eyes, we are receiving 2 slightly different images of the world all the time. And what our brain does is our brain takes those 2 slightly different images and will constantly compare them. Trying to compare them will help determine how far away something is that we're looking at. So if we're looking at something and the 2 images in our brain, and our brain is determining that the difference in the 2 images is very small, our brain would determine that the object is very far away. If the 2 images that our brain is processing has a very big difference, our brain will determine that the object is very close. So you can have a little bit of an example of this. If you look at something far away or something close, if you change sort of one eye at a time, you'll notice that the images changes quite a lot. And then finally, your other binocular depth cue is convergence. This is to do with the brain processing the angles of the eye muscles when focusing on an item to judge the distance. So, for example, if you look at an item that is really close to you, your eyes will angle inwards slightly. The angle, it makes sense. If you hold a finger right up to your nose, your eyes go all cross-eyed. That's because your pupils and your eyes need to turn inwards to look at the object properly. And if the item is far away, your eyes and your pupils will stay very straight, looking forward into the distance. So your brain will be able to tell you that that item is far away. And like I said, if you move a pencil from far away and bring it right up to your nose, you'll be able to see and feel your eyes literally converging closer to each other. So that's your introductory video to perception, where we run through the basic key terms and the 2 main depth cues that you need to know.